As part of our book launch in early October 2025, we are doing a series covering the Solopreneur Success Cycle. This is the third episode in the series. We did an overview, we talked about goals, and today we really wanted to dive into the Envision stage of the Solopreneur Success Cycle. Now, it's funny because in our last episode, we were talking about goals and we were like, really think about these goals and use them as your North Star. And today, some of you may be like, well, weren't you envisioning your business? Like, how is this different? It is. And that's kind of what we want to cover. Joe, you are so great at, I feel like, this point. Can you kind of dive into envisioning your business, how it's different from goal setting, which is our step zero?
Absolutely.
Go from there.
Absolutely. So when I say envisioning, I mean that you're really starting to think about what this business is going to look like, but you're not getting into the nitty-gritty yet, right? The next step is planning, but you really just want to kind of think through what kinds of things could I do? And you might have a very clear idea. I'm an IT professional, and I want to help, small businesses, manage their computer systems in such a way that they don't get hacked and keep everything up and running smoothly for them. That it might be what you want to do, and great. You probably can skip this step if you know exactly what you want to do. But if you're just kind of somebody that says, I have these skills, I have a bunch of interests, I know that there's some things I could do to make money, but I want to explore a little bit. That's a really fun thing to do. And it can be fun even if you have a very clear idea what you want to do. You just kind of dream a little bit. And, we have exercises, writing down the things that you are passionate about, writing down the skills that you have, and then looking at combinations of those things that might make a business can come up with some interesting ideas and maybe something unique or different for you, but something that meets your goals better than your current idea does. So just it's fun, and it doesn't commit you to anything, but the process of letting loose a little bit and thinking outside the box can be a nice exercise. So another thing that people talk about a lot in this phase is something called ikigai. And ikigai is attributed to this ancient Japanese wisdom. It's not. It was invented in like 2015 by, the concept was invented by some computer scientists in Spain. Some British blogger, I think, named it ikigai. Ikigai has a meaning in Japanese, but about something about a balanced life or something. But, it's not ancient, but it's still interesting. It's just people treat it as sacrosanct, and I think that's a huge mistake, right? So the idea of ikigai is that you have the things that you're passionate about, the things that you're good at, the things that the world needs, and the things that the world will pay for. And if you can find something that they have a Venn diagram, right? And the ancient Japanese weren't that into Venn diagrams as far as I know. But if you have a Venn diagram of those four things all intersecting, that's the ikigai, right? It's perfect. And I think if you can find that sounds awesome. By the same token, I think it's I'm a big fan of niching down, but I think can be over niching. You might have something that you're not passionate about, but that can meet your goals, that you're good at, that people will pay for and the world needs. And hey, that's okay. Some people run businesses that they don't have a deep passion for, but they're capable of running. They don't mind running it, and it gives them the life they want. So there's that. I always think of the example of pet rocks, right? You think of pet rocks. I mean, if you look at the people that did it, they made a ton of money selling these pet rocks back in the 70s, and it was a rock in a box. And the box had air holes in it for the rock to breathe, whatever. But people bought these things left and right. Now, maybe they were passionate about this. Certainly they were good at it because they were able to make these products, and the world was definitely paying for them, but I don't know that they were needed, right? But somebody did it and it worked out for them, and now they think they're back, which is interesting. But anyway, my point is, ikigai is a nice tool. A lot of people talk about it, but I don't go too crazy with it. If I don't check all four boxes, so to speak, I don't think it's a reason to throw an idea out if it's meeting your goals. And that's the one that's missing from ikigai. Is it meeting your goals, the business as a whole? So anyway, just my take on ikigai. Any thoughts on that, Carly? Or
No, what I was going to add was just going back to your goals, because we talk about that step zero, because so many times people will just follow ikigai, like you were saying, because everything seems aligned, but But again, depending on what your goals are, they may not be. And that your goals need to be your North Star.
So yeah, so then I mean, as you envision your business and going through this process of thinking through things that you're good at, things that you're excited about, things that people will pay for, blah blah blah. Don't be afraid to niche down. Don't be afraid. You could say, I want to be a life coach for men over 60, right? That I could say that because it's I'm a man over 60, but that's a lot of people. Don't be afraid to say a man over 60 who's, been an entrepreneur and sold their businesses and is looking for something to do instead of retire. That's niching down to the point where you might actually get people to notice you, the bright people to notice you. So just, that niching down is important.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's funny because I feel like this step of the business, it can get mixed into other phases. And so I'm so glad through like the success cycle, we call attention to it because like I said, some people might roll it into goals, some people might roll it into planning, but it deserves its
Yeah,
own
right.
spotlight.
Yeah, and lastly, once you do have an idea, definitely run it by people. Go out and talk to people, even if it's something really unique. There's that old somebody's going to steal my idea thing. Nobody's going to steal your idea. It's too hard to. These businesses are too hard to build. Nobody's going to sit there and go, I'm going to steal that. I'm doing my own thing, but I'm going to steal that. It's like, granted, if you have some magic invention that you come up with, don't go sharing it with some large company. But if you're going to life coach people or be a contractor or do something that typically solopreneurs do or have an app idea, talk to people, see if it sounds good. See if they would be interested. Because it's good to vet these things before you start. The next phase is it's a process of getting the thing planned out and then building it. So you really want to make sure that you're on the right track. So don't be afraid to talk to people. We have a community of solopreneurs in Lifestar that, be great for that. So, but there's other people out there and people that and people in your network. So just don't be shy.
And spoiler, people are probably already doing what you're doing. So you just need to figure out how to make yourself unique, which we'll get to you in another episode.
Yeah, but that's a great point because one of the neat things about being a solopreneur is that you don't need a huge chunk of the market. So unlike, more entrepreneurial, employee-based businesses, a lot of times you can just look and say, there's enough here for some of us, and so you got a direct competitor doing the same thing as you can be friends and share because you don't need, 98% of the market to survive. You need 2% of the market to survive. So that's one of the fun things about being a solopreneur is that you can have a lot of, I call it coopetition, right? So your competitors are actually people you can cooperate with and, this person, I think they would help you more than I would, send them over and vice versa. So anyway, just an interesting point you brought up.
Well, thank you. Well, listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. As we mentioned, please buy that book. Otherwise, please share this episode with a friend, subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, leave that 5-star review. It means so much to us. And we will see you next time on the Aspiring Solopreneur.